Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again, and I wanted to talk to you today. Something I already reviewed, actually twice, but this is a special edition review where I'm gonna uh, give you and uh, facts facts. It's the more. I'm not gonna really review the movie. There's certain scenes that I'm gonna show, but it's about the Thing from 1982 from John Carpenter, my favorite horror movie, equally with 1978's Halloween from John Carpenter. Boom. So if you ask me which is your favorite horror, if you ask me which is your favorite slasher movie, oh, Halloween. Okay, which is your favorite sci-fi movie? The Thing. And then if you ask me which is your favorite horror movie, then I can't. The Thing and Halloween both get a 10 out of 10, but they're both different. The one is a slow burn, but with creepy, slow but creepy at the same time, with a soundtrack Haddonfield that looks abandoned, and then the second one is about uh, paranoia. It's about gory aliens. It's about isolation. They are cut off and creepy, and also tension and atmosphere. The, like I said, they're both equally. So if you ask me which my favorite horror movies, there are two. That's Halloween and The Thing. Now I wanted to. I'm gonna do a special edition on Halloween 2 because it's just because of those are my two favorite movies. So what I did actually for this to what I did for this movie is that I wanted to this clip. I wanted to research as much what could have been, finding photos that weren't in the movie and that were filmed. So I found a few things. Uh, for example, let's start with the Norwegian. Everybody remembers the movie starts out with the chopper, the Norwegian chopper,
Maybe we're at war with Norway.
trying to kill the husky uh, with a a rifle and grenades. And now, if you if you can speak or understand Norwegian, or you're somebody from Norwegian, basically the entire plot is spoiled in those first 5 minutes. He says, and I'm gonna put, always gonna put a screenshot of the text that they wrote. It's from a reliable site, Bill Lancaster. He wrote a lot of things on that site. He's one of the writers of this movie, and he basically says, "Get away from it. Get away from that. It's not a dog. It's some kind of thing. Get away. Get away. It will kill you. Get away, you idiot!" And then, he, of course, he gets shot by Gary right through the eye. Good shot, Gary. Good shot. But basically, the movie would have been spoiled if somebody would have understood him. So there's always something that I actually never really realized that that guy was saying. But of course, what would that guy be saying if he is chasing a dog and really trying to kill it? There was also a Bill Lancaster wrote a alternative beginning with the chopper swirling out of control, falling, and the Norwegian who actually came after the dog with rifle is on fire, but he's still capable of trying to go to the dog and try to catch it, because we all know that fire kills the thing, right? But he eventually drops dead. And John Carpenter didn't like that. It was a little bit too. He thought it was a little bit too. Being a man on fire, still capable after a helicopter crash, full of grenades, still capable of walking, running into the military camp and into the military the U.S. Antarctic camp, the outpost, and then trying to catch a dog. That sounds a little bit ridiculous, right? Now, speaking of Bill Lancaster writing that scene, the M was deleted because of John Carpenter. John Carpenter was actually not the first choice for this movie. How about that? No, John Carpenter was actually set aside for Tobe Hooper. They wanted Tobe Hooper to make this movie. Now, I've got a few screenshots with text of his parts of his script, little parts. One is Tobe Hooper wanted to make the thing sort of slapstick comedy, horror comedy, where literally somebody gets taken by the thing, and, and he falls to the ground because there's a fucking banana peel on the ground, and he falls to the ground, and the thing takes him. Also, the thing in his version wasn't that would assimilate with another person, but it just would eat you. It would eat people. Carnivorous alien, apparently. So, after that being said, he also wanted to make a main character called the Captain, and that he was so obsessed by trying to get the thing that it turned to a Moby Dick and Ahab kind of story. So that they immediately said, no fucking way, we're not going to do this. John Carpenter came with his script, and they said, okay, let's do it your way. So he was the first choice was Tobe, and Tobe Hooper is a prolific horror, especially horror director, right? But yeah, okay. John Carpenter was actually I love John Carpenter. I think he's one of my favorite, or if not my favorite, horror movie director. He did a lot of movies like action movies, like Assault on Precinct 18, the Elvis movie there with Kurt Russell, They Live, action movie, sci-fi action movie. He did a lot of movies that weren't horror movies per se, but the horror movies that he made were always ahead of their time, because Siskel and Ebert, you have these two men were the voice of reviewing a movie, but they were so narrow-minded that they were mortified of the grotesque things that came in this movie, and it's a shame, because Rob Bottin worked so hard on this movie that he had a burnout. He had to go to the hospital for 2 weeks to lying in the hospital. That he for the first thing to appear, that was the dog thing, right? And assimilating with multiple dogs. Well, that was actually made by Stan Winston. Stan Winston, who made the Alien Queen, for example, in Aliens. And the reason why this, I believe, um, Rob Bottin was very tired and just came from the set of The Howling. And he said, if I have to make another wolf's head, uh, I'm gonna go crazy. I don't care. Somebody else do this, please. And Stan Winston, Rob Bottin, they know each other, and there you go. Stan Winston made the dog creature. Um, the dog, by the way, is called Jeb. Now Jeb became a movie star. He became the husky, right? That is infected by the thing. He His real name is Jeb, and he eventually uh, became a dog movie star. So that was a fun fact. Um, Also, something that I thought was okay, I want to go through these names. So for McCready, Kurt Russell wasn't first choice, not at all. Because I always thought at that point, 1982, Kurt Russell was an A-lister because he was a child star, and he made a bunch of movies already, and movies that really, where he, I think he had won awards from and so forth. But yeah, apparently he was a B-lister at that time. So what they did was first Clint Eastwood. Now, Clint Eastwood at that time, that was Dirty Harry's time, right? I don't know. Maybe he has Clint Eastwood has a scruffy face. He looks, like a guy who been been around the block a few times. I mean, yeah, maybe, but I think he would be too much. Like, with that revolver in that movie of Dirty Harry. I never saw the Dirty Harry movies, just that clip for, when he's pointing at that gangster. He says, "I know what you're thinking. Did I fire 6 shots or 5? Now, are you willing to take a chance, punk? Are you willing?" So, I think that he would be too much. Jeff Bridges. He then later came in Dark Star of Carpenter, and I think he, he won an Oscar for that movie, right? Because the era of the thing and was uh, approximately at the same time as um, E.T. and aliens weren't seen as murderous aliens. Okay, we have Alien from 1979. He That was a creepy ass movie. That was a slasher, right, in space. But after this movie was made, and that's also the reason why it bombed. They didn't want to see a murderous alien, the thing, alien, killing people or simulating people, right? Uh, so at some point, Carpenter decided to do Dark Star. Yeah, never seen it. Don't care for the movie. Um, and he won an Oscar with it. Basically, sort of a rip-off of E.T. Oh, but Jeff Bridges as McCready, mm, Jeff. I usually, if I see Kurt Russell and Jeff Bridges, I always think they look a lot. They look a lot alike. Yeah, but no. Harrison Ford was also asked. Harrison Ford, coming from at that time, was Star Wars, A New Hope, and When was the Empire Strikes Back filmed? That's a good question. Harrison Ford, no, absolutely no, absolutely no. Nick Nolte, oh my God, no, with that beaten up face and that talking like this. I mean that from smoking or something. No, no, oh my God, Kevin Kline, Kevin fucking Kline from Fierce Creatures. Not a chip of the old block, eh? Oh my God. No, man. Kevin Kline, at, at that time, Alec Baldwin, again, no. He's too suave. He's too, gel in the hair. He needed something, someone scruffy looking. And Kurt Russell had to look. Also, he needed somebody that sort of had that aura of him that he can keep shit together even when shit goes sour. And he had that aura of him. He had that leadership aura. Although he didn't want to be a leader, but Clint Eastwood would be the only one that I would say maybe, maybe, yeah. Now, another fun fact is that the chess wizard game, when he's playing and calling it cheating bitch, and he puts his GMB in the computer. Well, those chess wizards are real, but they couldn't talk. There was no voice saying rook to pawn 5, something like that. Rook to pawn. No, that was Adrian Barbeau's voice, the at that time new wife of John Carpenter, because he then that time divorced Deborah Hill, who he was married to, I think. And yeah, she's Adrian Barbeau. Look at that, as a chess wizard, a cheating bitch. A few a few other things were, the guy when the dog wants to have his first victim. He goes to the room and you see this silhouette, uh, shadow silhouette, and so he's turning around. That was actually an extra. It wasn't an actor from that was in the thing, in the ensemble of the people working at the outpost, but he looked damn well like Norris. I mean, he had that curly afro, he had that thick head, he had that. You could see that he had this thick sweater on that he has all through the movie on. So, I mean, was it his twin? I don't know. Windows, that's also funny. Windows was called Windows just because he always had sunglasses on. That was the reason why they called it Windows. They saw the guy and he said, "Oh, you like to wear sunglasses? Okay, your name is Windows in this movie." That was funny. That's funny. Set in British Columbia for the cold scenes, the snow scenes, and in LA the in the base, the outpost scenes, but they refrigerated some of the rooms that steam would come out of their mouth, so that you constantly would see steam, that you can feel the cold coming from the movie, right? Um, Now, that's also the keys. Remember there's a portion in the movie when Bennings is being simulated. Now, um, everybody uh, after that went to the doctor. He wanted to do the blood test, but the blood for the refrigerator of everybody's blood was gone. Now they say, oh no, yeah, 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 Gary or the doc, he's to blame, and nobody believed Gary that somebody took it off him. But there's a moment in the movie when Bennings, like I said, is being assimilated, that he, he Windows comes back because he went to get the keys from Gary because he needed the keys from Gary. So he went to get the keys from Gary, was doing this with the keys. I couldn't find the scene, it's stupid. I couldn't find the scene. And I have this certain site where I can get no copyright problems with, and that scene wasn't in there, and I'm really eerie of going to. Like there were a few scenes that I really wanted to put in there, but copyright and all that shit I really don't want. So you can hear him, and then he sees Bennings being assimilated, and he drops the keys and walks away. Now this is a moment when one of the other things, like Norris, for example, could have picked up the keys and, or maybe even Palmer, uh, and opened the refrigerator and sabotaged the blood. So, if you ever, if you're in the mood of the thing, listen, just listen. It's actually said by Bennings, get uh, Windows, go and get the keys from Gary, will you? Yeah, no problem. And then he's coming back with, and then you hear the keys rattling and falling on the ground. So that's the moment where the keys were taken. That's the only plausible explanation. So yeah. Um, but in the getting Kurt Russell to do this role was the good choice. That was a good choice. No, 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 no. Now there is when Fuchs, the I think the assistant of Blair. I think the assistant of Blair. He also could, carve in, and he was a one of the scientific, uh, under officers or something. I think he was the assistant of Blair. He eventually takes over the work from Blair because Blair went crazy, and they he took the work over. Now, of course, the things know that Blair, that Fuchs is onto something because Blair was onto something. Blair was obviously onto something, and the things did not count on the fact that Blair was smart enough, basically, to destroy um, every piece of transportation out of there, and this made it a completely different movie, an isolated movie. You couldn't get the fuck out. There was a blizzard coming. You're fucked. Waiting for the rescue team in early spring. Although there's something that does doesn't compute with that logic, and I'll get there. Now, um, there is a when they there is I found a picture when they find Fuchs more than he in the movie uh, McCready, uh,
Anybody see Fuchs?
Childs, and
Somebody
Windows.
blew out a
I
fuse
guess.
in the
Yeah,
lab.
they
Lights were out
go
here for an hour.
to
Any one of
find
us could have gotten
Fuchs,
to
and
it.
they find
All right, we gotta find him.
a
No,
flare
why don't you come
and
with me
a
and we'll look outside.
like
Palmer,
burnt
he and Windows check
residue,
the
but not really a body. They found glasses, and that's it. And they insinuate that he killed himself with the flare and burned him before it got to him, and that's probably the true dead, because there's a picture of the same three guys, but I think one guy more, and they're standing over a charred body, where you can clearly see it's a human body that's charred. Now Fuchs has another kill, an alternate kill, which doesn't make sense. I don't even understand why they did that. I really don't understand, because the thing was all about assimilation, trying to get as much of the crew of Outpost 12 or so, to to be one of them. And there is a picture where they find Fuchs in this outside in this sort of panel, like a closet panel, and it looked like a closet panel, but it had to be big, because maybe something where you can put stuff in, like a small tractor or something. And Fuchs is hanging there against the wall with a shovel pierced through him, and basically impaled, and he's hanging there like this. I got the picture. So they they made a alternate Fuchs kill, but that totally disregards the thing's MO, right? Killing him without assimilating him. So that was weird. That was cool to see, but uh, but him being impaled by a shovel, uh, that just wouldn't, you know, compute in the movie. Now there's also at the very end, when not the very end, but when McCready, you've got Childs, you've got Gary, and you've got Childs. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Childs was the black, the two black guys. Yeah, you got Childs. That was Keith David, right? But who? If I remember, I don't remember the name of the black cook. He was the cook, and then Gary, the first commander of the outpost, but he then turned his uh, gun over and his keys over to McCready. Um, at some point, they know Blair is one of the things. He made this flying saucer thing. He was trying to fly the hell out of there, but they destroyed. They all have these dynamite sticks. McCready has all these dynamite sticks. They're like figurines from NECA, if you heard of them. These cool looking statues, figurines. with different kind of weaponry, and then you have a McCready, the regular McCready, which I like the most because he has the original poster of the thing on the box. Then you have the trying to kill the things McCready with the flamethrower. And then you have the last stand McCready with the dynamite sticks all over his body and the Molotov cocktails and things like that. Well, at some point, they start to torch the entire compound, and they know the last thing that happened, the last room that they have to go to is the boiler room, right? But the generator room, but the generator was destroyed. That's the reason why they have no chance of surviving in that outpost because it's gonna be negative 40 or something in that thing. It's gonna be freezing, so the heat is off. So what they so their suggestion, McCree's suggestion was by making it a little bit warmer by destroying the entire outpost. Now you know that Gary and Knowles was his name. Sorry, Knowles. Sorry, now I know Knowles was actually a very gory kill. I didn't find pictures, sadly enough. I didn't find, but Bill Lancaster, he put it in the script that we see Gary being like assimilated by Blair's hand, basically like going through his face. But then we see Knowles, and he's yelling for McCready. Knowles is pulled underneath the planks, and he's trying to get out, and McCready tries to help him, but tentacles are coming beside him, and this really big one just acts like a chest burster through his chest, and he dies in a very bloody way. So that was, I would have liked to see that. I would have liked to see that because the Blair thing didn't do jack shit, in my opinion. You know, claymation at some point too. No, so that was something that I wasn't a fan of. Now the ending was actually there were at least three different endings. Now the ending we got was actually a suggestion of Kurt Russell by finding Childs, and that two men are still paranoid and staring each other down, and that the movie ends ambiguous, like Carpenter likes to do. Now, you have to know Kurt Russell. I don't understand it was a B-lister. He actually went so far that he can't drive a helicopter. Now there's a moment when they are going to the Norwegian camp, and there's a real helicopter pilot in there, and there's a moment when you see the helicopter doing like a wobbly thing. Next time when you see it, you'll see it, and that's McCready taking over from the pilot and landing a chopper of his own. That is dedication, right? Now about these alternate endings. Now there is, first of all, you have one ending that apparently Childs and McCready are staring each other down like they do in the original ending, but instead of that, they both turn into things. They were assimilated. That was a ending that Carpenter didn't like. That's not ambiguous. That's also a downer ending because now with that ending, you can still think maybe someone survives. Now, another ending was, and this is probably, and again, not written by Bill Lancaster, not ambiguous enough. Um, you have one, so you have a helicopter. The TV version of the thing, it's less gory, does have a different ending. There's a helicopter going, rescue helicopter going over the base. You see smoke. I have the few pictures of them, and you see another husky running away. So that this means that the the dog thing or somebody of the other team members basically assimilated with one of the last surviving huskies, and you're a husky, you can stay low, you can you can watch things, you don't have to face them head on, right? And again, the dog's running away like in the beginning. Now there's this weird thing that the helicopter pilot says, and I've got the text, and I'm gonna put it on the screen. If a screenshot, and I took a screenshot of the text, something about that reminded me of the original 1951 Howard Hawks, The Thing from Another World, which is basically the original movie that was this movie's remake. And at the very end, a reporter says through the radio, like, everybody, watch the skies, be wary what you see. UFOs are there, and we have to be aware. Something like this. He had this rather cool quote, rather cool, and then the movie ends there. But this guy, like I said, it's a sad, it's so shitty that I couldn't. So I only have the text that I couldn't upload it, and because I'm probably gonna get big problems with it. So the guy says something like, "Look at this, the galaxy where we live in, and this and this," and I, huh? Okay, and that helicopter, an alternate ending, saved McCready. McCready goes on, was alive. Childs, there are two versions where he and Childs are still alive. None of the two are things, or at least they don't know yet. But then but it's later on revealed that they're not things. And then you have one where Childs basically ran away, thinking he could get on foot to another outpost. Probably frozen the fuck up somewhere, but okay. And McCready stayed at the base, and the helicopter takes him, and he says, "Who do I have to kill to get a hot meal?" So that's the typical McCready, Now, there is a picture, and like I said, this is from an official website that Bill Lancaster wrote. So he's the writer of the entire thing movie. There's a picture of McGreedy being somewhere in what he said was a room somewhere at the base McMurdo. McMurdo, everybody wanted to go to McMurdo because McMurdo was was where the airplanes probably landed, and they went from there, from different countries. Remember, this movie was made in the times of the Russian Cold War, so a lot of Russian outposts were there, but also the Norwegians, and a lot of American outposts were there. Now, you have a picture of him sitting, and I guarantee you, I never. This isn't just a picture of him sitting somewhere eating a sandwich. No, a picture of him sitting there with a um, like some kind of towel around him, and it looks like a holding cell or something. Maybe he and the, the thing was that that was at McMurdo. So he survived. This means that McCready survived. And he's not a thing because in Belanca he passes the test. He's not a thing. He's at McMurdo. And that picture, there's no scene in any of the movies that you can see that. So, that, yeah, that would be weird, right? That would just completely I mean, that would give us a happy ending in a way. Charles probably dead, but like I said, two endings where Charles also comes with them, but he's also not a thing. None of them are things. Like I said, the only one where Charles and McCree are both things and they stare each other down and start to assimilate in the monsters they are. I have screenshots of these texts. You should really read them. It's fun information written by Bill Lancaster, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. It's I found that's the things that I found. It's the movie had like a lot of different things going on, alternate kills that didn't make sense, like fugues. The ending where apparently there's still one husky, and the pilot that says something like in that version of the 1951 Howard Hawks version of the thing from another world, with the end line that look up to the skies, look like X-Files, the truth is out there, like something like that. It was weird. And then seeing a picture of McCready alone in this what looks to be a cell, but according to Lancaster, a temporary holding cell to check his blood, because they knew about the thing. They knew about the alien, probably through communication. They knew that some outposts were attacked by this thing. At some point, it gets out, right? But yeah, that's where I'm gonna end it. It's a, it's actually, if that's true, and the picture is Bill Lancaster, like I said, he was a writer, so and that scene with McCready sitting in the corner in this cell-like structure, that's something I did not see in the movie. I've seen the movie like 100 times, the uncut version, the cut version, and no. So, what do you think? Would that be? That wouldn't be as ambiguous, of course. That would just say, okay, they're safe. That would be a happy ending, but I don't think Carpenter just didn't want to go with a happy ending. He wanted to go with an ambiguous ending, where it could, where the chances are really big that they're both gonna die, or one of them is the thing. People looking at Keith Davis, Childs, because drinking that G&B bottle may have been a Molotov cocktail, and the things don't taste the difference, and then they see when he drinks, the McCready chuckles, and you know, in any case, great movie. If you've never seen it, this review was more for the fans of the thing. If you never seen the thing, you're probably gonna be what? And also, if you seen a thing only once, just you know passed by, and this is also maybe not up your alley. This review, it's more about the details of certain people that were in the movie. It's not a review. A review like, okay, you had that and that character. That character annoyed me, or was the movie good? Was the movie bad? Was, should you see it? Giving it a score, 10 out of 10. So if you've never seen it, check it out. It's one of the best horror movies ever made, in my opinion. And yeah, subscribe for more fun. I'm gonna do a Halloween special edition too, because that I wanted to do these two special editions of Halloween and the thing. Gonna find as much facts and text and pictures that a lot of people wouldn't didn't even know. So that will be coming in the nearby future. Again, subscribe. See you later. Have a nice day and check the thing out now. Bye bye.